I'm now going to make the groom figure. First of all, you need a little base to put your groom on because he's sitting. And what I've done is cut a block of sugar paste into a kind of rectangular shape. It's about 1.5 inches, about 4 centimetres high, about the same across the top. And if you want to have it wide enough to fit the bride and groom together, you need to make it about 3 to 4 inches long. So you want it about 10 centimetres long. You cover that with some white sugar paste, so you end up with a little seat like this, and that's where you're going to sit your groom. Now all the sizes for the groom are actually on the guide to sizes chart. It'll tell you what size each part is and check each ball on there. And you start off with a ball size B for both the legs. So we start by making the legs, and I'm going to make a sausage shape. Make sure it's even, roll it both sides at the same time, and make sure that you've got both sides the same width, and that's perfect. So that's about 5 inches long, 5 to 6 inches long, and I'm going to roll it round, bend it like that, and you've got both the groom's legs in one go. Flatten the ends off, so the ends of his trousers end with a flattened shape, and now you want some sugar glue, and I'm going to brush that onto the base, and we're going to put his legs there and bend them back. And as you put them on, press them down, and that will stick them firmly to the stool or the chair, and that will make sure they stay there in place. Now he needs 2 shoes, and the shoes are teardrop shapes. So you've got 2 little balls, shape them into teardrop shapes, so they're both that shape, and one goes under there, and one goes under there. Right, we're now going to flatten each of those little shoes. We put the backs of the points underneath the ends of the legs, give them a little flatten, and those will stay there in place. Now the next piece you want to do is the top of his body, which is like his waistcoat. Now it's a good idea to do this in advance, and you want to have a ball size A in pale grey. To make this shape, you want a ball size A in grey, and I'm going to shape it into a sausage shape. Make sure it's even all the way along, that's perfect. Now when you've got it to that shape, you want to cut a big V out the top and a little V out of the bottom. So the top, I'm going to cut a big V like that, and the bottom, I'm going to cut a little one like that. And as soon as you've done that, do a line that joins the two up, and then you want some buttonholes, and they want to go however many you like, 3 or 4, like that all the way along, and that's his body. And you stick it on to the top of his trousers, and you will at this stage need to use a piece of spaghetti, and that wants to go all the way down into there, and that will hold him in place. Now it is quite a good idea to make this piece in advance, so if you can make it 2 or 3 hours before you need it, and if you can put a little bit of flour paste or modelling paste mixed in with your sugar paste, that makes it go a bit firmer, and when you add your arms and your neck and the head, etc., you're less likely to squash that body, then it won't get too small. Well, you've got your waistcoat in place, and you've also got your spaghetti in there, so now brush a little bit of sugar glue into the middle of that V that you made on top, and you're going to put a neck piece in, and this is going to be a V shape, and you're going to pop it at the front there, press it down so it fills in, and then just squeeze it around the back of this stick like that. You now want to roll out some black icing, about 2 to 3 millimeters thick, and the shapes you want to cut are the 2 sides of the suit, which are like that, and the back of the suit, which is longer and it curves around at the bottom. So if I do the back of the suit first, and then we'll have 2 side pieces and then you've got your 3 pieces. You stick the sides on first. So the sides go on first with a little bit of sugar glue to hold them on in place. You brush some sugar glue right down the side there. A little bit just it's the wrong shape there, so I'm just cutting that off, and pop that piece just there, and that little bit at the top there, what I'm going to do with that, I'm going to tuck it under, and that sort of makes a shoulder for him there. Press that firmly all the way along, gently like that, and that's the first side on. And now we'll do the second one. So the second one goes on. Again, you need sugar glue to stick it on. Let me show you how that one goes on. Make sure it stops at the same level as the one on the other side. Bring it all the way up there. Fold that piece over at the top. And then gently dab it all the way up there at the back. Now at the back here, it looks a little bit uneven, but don't worry about that, because if I press that in at the front and just smooth that in at the back, I can cover that piece with the back section, and that's absolutely fine. Now the back section you stick the sugar glue onto, and we turn him round, and we're going to stick that piece so that comes down a little bit further there, like it's almost like he's wearing tails. So it's going to be higher at the front like that, curving around like that at the back, and then just with your fingers very gently dab that down until that fits all the way there. And then I'm going to fold this piece over like that. His arms are next, and they're this shape. So it's a long tapered sausage shape, and they're a size small D. So shape them into a long cone shape or sausage shape, taper it at one end and flatten it at the other end. And if you do this straight through in all one go, you should be able to stick these on without actually using any sugar glue, because the black paste can be a little bit sticky. There we are. There's one up. And the other one, and just turn him towards me to put the other one on. That's lovely. I'm going to use a little bit of sugar glue to stick that one on, and brush that just down from the shoulder all the way down where the seam is, where you've got the two sides where the pieces met, and it will hide that join when you put the arms on. That's lovely. Now if you were making a bride and groom sitting next to each other, what I would do is I would make the bride first, I would make the groom sitting next to her, and this arm, when you put it on, I would have it going round his shoulders, so it's coming back round, so it actually looks like he's got his arm round her. But as she's not there at the moment, we should do it down by his side. We're now going to do the last bit of black, which is going to be the collar. And you want to make a long tapering sausage shape, really nice points at the end. And I'm just going to very slightly flatten it until I have that shape. So it's a long pointy sausage shape, tapered at the ends. Sugar glue wants to be brushed all the way up there, just over the top of his arm, right round the back of the collar like that, and then that goes on there. And we stick the front 2 points down. Lovely. Don't worry that it looks a bit empty and bare in there. There's a space because you've got another white collar on his shirt to go in there, and then a part of his neck as well. But look how neat it is at the back with that sausage paste there. That's hidden all the joins at the back and really tidied it up. So we want a white ball of icing, and you pop it down onto that spaghetti and pop it into that hole and give it a press like that. Now he has a little neck piece, which is a smaller ball, peach colour, and you press that on there and then the next part that will go on his head. But let's give him his hands first. So you've got his hands, 2 little balls of flesh colour. They're going to be size H. Shape them into a point, and we want to make a hole at the end of the sleeve. Twist the tool as you make the hole. Pop the hand in and give it a little flatten. There's a hole for the other one. Pop the point of the teardrop in, make sure it's well inside there, and just give it a little press, like that. His head is going to be an oval ball of icing. Very slightly point the chin, and then pop it down onto your spaghetti. And there you have his head. His nose wants to go about 3/4 of the way down the body. Little tiny nose, as small as you can get it, into a teardrop shape. Pop it into that hole and give it a little dab. And now to mark his ears, put your thumb or finger behind his head and do a little press in with a tool at that angle, and it pushes a little ear shape out. Let's give our groom a nice bright cravat now. So we're going to give him a bright pink cravat. We're going to brush some sugar glue onto the front there. And the first piece of the cravat I put on is the lower piece, which is that shape. So it's a kind of oval, but I've tapered it more at the ends. And I'm just going to press it just there, and it will stick onto the sugar glue. The next piece is like a little oval shape without the tapered ends, and that goes over the top, like that. Now with a knife now, you do marks this way on the top piece, and that way on the bottom piece. And that's how you do a little cravat. Now using a little piece of this pink that's left over, roll it out, cut a little triangle. This is his handkerchief in his pocket. So we've got a little tiny pink triangle there. A little bit tricky to hold because it's so tiny. We'll do a dab of sugar glue there, and then pick it up and pop it there on the side of his suit. And there he has his little handkerchief and his cravat done. We now need to do eyes. Eyes are once again black colour paste on the end of a cocktail stick or toothpick. Turn him towards you and always mark the eyes at that angle, not going straight in with a dot. His eyes are very low. His eyes should be level with his ears. And that leaves you lots of space to pipe his hair. And there you have his eyes. If you'd like to do a little dot for an eyebrow, just with the tiniest little bit of black that's left on there, just mark. Can you see tiny little eyebrows I've got there? And his smile is black paste colour mixed with a little bit of dipping solution just to dilute it. And I'm just going to give him a little smile. There we are. Now piping hair. There are several tutorials on piping hair on my school, and in all of them you would cut the end of the bag the same way. You would squeeze your royal icing to the end. I've got brown royal icing in here. Make sure it's right to the end, flatten it and do 2 little cuts that way and that way. So when you pipe out of it, you get a little spiky point of hair, and that's what you do all over the head. So if we imagine that our groom has got a side part in, we're going to do long spikes, pulling them the way you want them to end, like that. So always piping downwards from the crown. fill in that little bald patch you've got there at the back. A little bit more this side until you have a full head of hair. And then have a look at it from the front and just check there aren't any little areas that look a little bit thinner than the others. And there you have your groom's hair. I want to show you one other hairstyle on the groom. On this one I have finished here. And this would be for a shorter haircut. And what we're actually going to do with this haircut, we're going to pipe lots of little spikes all over his head. Very, very short spiky ones. Don't drag them out and make them longer into a long fringe. And you can do that all over his head. And just finish off around the back. Lots of little spikes and you've got a completely different type of haircut, but you just use the same cut on the end of the bag to do both these styles. And if I just turn him towards me, and he looks like he's got very short, almost curly hair, and the others is much longer and wavier. When you put your bride and groom together, you can either have them sitting next to each other with their arms straight by the sides, or if you wanted, you could put one of the groom's arms out to the side as if he's got it around her shoulders, which looks rather nice, just like I've done with this one.